Okay, so now we're going to try some two-step equations, and then three-step, then multi-step, etc. So we look over here, 3x minus 4 equals 11. We want to solve for the x. So we want to remove the negative 4, or the minus 4, and the 3, which is joined by 3 times x. So we ask ourselves, how's the 3 joined to the x by multiplication, the 4 by subtraction? What's the weaker of the operation? Because we kind of do that first. It's kind of opposite of PEMDAS. And negative is weaker than multiplication, so I get rid of the weaker operations first. And the opposite of subtraction is addition, so I'm just going to add 4 to both sides. Remember, line up your equal signs. And remember, what you do to the left, you do to the right. Okay? 4 minus 4 is 0. 3x plus 0 is 3x. So I just have 3x left on the left. And then 4 plus 11 is equal to 15. Then I've got 3 times x. The opposite of times is divide. So I'll just divide both sides by 3. And 3 over 3 is 1. 1 times x is just x, which is what I want. And that equals, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. And again, remember, line up your equal signs. And you can see what I did to the left, I did to the right of the equal sign. I divided both sides by 3, or I added 4 to both sides. So again, try to maintain the integrity of that equal sign. So you have to keep the equation balanced, so what you do to the left side, you must do to the right side. Okay? And if you keep your equal signs lined up, that helps. Okay, number 8. This is going to be 4x plus 5 equals 12. So again, I want to solve for the x. The 4 is joined by multiplication. The 5 is joined by addition. Addition is the weaker operation. The opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'll subtract 5 from both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0. 4x plus 0 is just 4x. So I got 4x on the left. And on the right, keep your equal signs lined up. 12 minus 5 is 7. So again, what I do to the left, I do to the right. Then I want to solve for x. The 4 is joined by multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division, so I divide both sides by 4. Oops. Excuse me, 4. There we go. 4 over 4 is 1. 1 times x is just x. And 7 over 4, that's an improper fraction. You could leave it like that. You don't have to change it to a mixed number. Now, if you have a multiple choice test and they have different forms, this is the same thing. If I change it to a mixed number, it could go, 4 goes into 7 1 times, with 3 left over, 4 3/4. And you could write that as a decimal. 1 point and 3/4 is 75 100ths. So you could do that, but this is fine for me. Okay. Number 9. One half x minus 3 equals 8. There we go. Another room here. There we go. All right, so again, I want to solve for x. What is joined to the x? A negative 3. So 3 by subtraction. 1/2 times that, so it can either be multiplication or division because it's in the bottom. So we could just get rid of the negative first because that's the weaker of the operation, so I'll just add 3 to both sides. Remember, what I do to the left, I do to the right. And I have 1/2 x equals 11. And remember, make sure the x is at least the middle of the x line is lined up with the fraction bar, or it's on top. Don't let it go down in the bottom, otherwise we might think it's 1 over 2x. So I want to solve for x. I've got 1 over 2, so it's a fraction, so I can multiply by the reciprocal, 2 over 1. And that's going to work for a fraction. 2 over 2 is 1, 1 over 1 is 1, or I can say 2 over 2 is 1. 1 times x is just x. And 11 times 2 is 22. So, nice easy fix there. Hopefully that makes sense. So if you have a fraction, like I said, if you want to get it to become 1, just multiply by the reciprocal, just flip it over. And that's using our multiplicative inverse, actually. Okay. All right, let's try a couple more. This will be number 10. And again, we call these linear equations because if you take the x and the y values and make a table of values and you graph the solutions, so these equations with the independent variable, you'll actually graph to be a straight line, so that's why they're called linear equations. They graph to be a line. Okay, and we're on number 10, so it's going to be 3 over 4x. This time we'll make sure that x is in the top very clear. Plus 7 equals 9. And again, I want to remove the 3/4, which is joined by multiplication because it's kind of 3/4 times x. The 7, which is joined by addition. The weaker of the operations is addition, so I'll subtract. I use the opposite of addition, which is subtraction, so that tells me I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides of the equation. And again, remember what you do to the left, you must do to the right. And now I have 3/4 x and that equals, and then 9 minus 7 is 2. And then I'm going to use the reciprocal, so I'll multiply both sides by 4/3. And again, you can see what I do to the left, I'm doing to the right. And 4 over 4 is 1, 3 over 3 is 1, or 4 times 3 is 12, 3 times 4 is 12, 12 over 12 is 1. Either way, you get 1x. And over here on the right, this is like a fraction, 2 over 1. There's no simplifying, so you just think of when you're multiplying fractions, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. And 2 times 4 is 8, so I have 8 over 3. It doesn't simplify, I can just leave it like that. I don't have to change it to a fixed number. Is that all right? So those are our basic two-step equations. And next we'll do 3-step and beyond.